My name is Lakeisha, I'm 25 years old, and I live in New York City. I work as a financial analyst at a mid-sized investment firm in Manhattan, the kind of job that pays well enough to make everyone think you've got it all figured out. My apartment in Brooklyn is small but mine. My credit score is excellent. My life, from the outside, looks put together. But here's what nobody sees. For the last 7 years, I've been the family's ATM machine, the emotional support hotline, and the one person everyone expects to say yes, no matter what they're asking. I have one sister. Her name is Bonnie, and she's 28. Growing up, we were close, the kind of close where you share clothes, secrets, and dreams about what your lives would look like when you finally escaped our mother's cramped apartment in Queens. But somewhere along the way, Bonnie started seeing me differently. Not as her sister, but as a resource. A solution to her problems. A bank that never closes. For 7 years, I've sacrificed. I put off grad school to help with Mom's medical bills when she had her stroke. I covered Bonnie's rent 4 different times when her acting career wasn't paying out. I flew to Los Angeles twice to help her move apartments because she really needed family support. I missed my own birthday dinner, my college reunion, and a promotion opportunity that required relocation because someone always needed something from me. And I gave it. Every single time. Because that's what you do for family, right? You show up. You give. You don't keep score. Until Tuesday, October 17th, at 2:47 p.m. I was sitting at my desk, halfway through a financial projection spreadsheet, when my phone buzzed. A text from Bonnie. I expected the usual. Maybe she needed advice, maybe she wanted to complain about her latest audition. What I got instead made my coffee grow cold in my hand. Hey Keisha. So I need you to co-sign on something for me. It's NBD, just a business loan thing, $75,000. My credit's a little shaky RN LOL, but you know I'm good for it. Just need your signature by Friday. I'll send the docs tonight. Thanks, babe. 2 hearts ***. I read it 3 times. $75,000. Not a request. Not a conversation. Just an expectation, delivered with emojis and abbreviations like she was asking me to grab milk on the way home. The LOL was what really got me. Like my financial future was a punchline. I didn't scream. I didn't throw my phone. My hands didn't even tremble. Instead, something inside me went very, very quiet. It was the kind of quiet that comes right before a decision you can't take back. The kind of quiet that feels like waking up from a very long dream. I typed back, "We need to talk about this. Can you call me tonight?" Her response came 30 seconds later, "Can't tonight, babe, super busy. Just sign the docs when I send them. You're literally the best." Face blowing a kiss. If you've ever felt taken for granted by the people closest to you, hit that subscribe button right now. This story gets a lot more intense, and you won't want to miss what happens next, ***. I closed my laptop. I didn't want to fight. I wanted clarity. I wanted to understand when exactly I became someone whose entire existence could be summed up in a signature and LOL. But I also knew, sitting there in my gray cubicle with the Manhattan skyline glittering outside my window, that everything had changed. I could feel it, the way you feel a fever coming on. The world looked the same. But I was different. I worked until 6, answered emails, attended a meeting, smiled at Scotty from accounting when he asked if I wanted to grab drinks with the team. I said no, like always, because I was saving money. For emergencies. For family. For everyone but myself. But inside, I was already 5 steps ahead. The subway ride home that evening was packed with the usual crush of tired bodies and fluorescent light. I stood pressed against the door, watching the tunnel walls blur past, and asked myself the question I'd been avoiding for years: how did we get here? I got my job at Sterling and Associates right out of college. I was 22, hungry, and terrified. The starting salary was $68,000, more money than I'd ever seen in my life. My mother cried when I told her. Bonnie took me out for champagne we couldn't afford, and we toasted to making it out. Back then, we were still a team. Then, 6 months into my new life, everything fell apart. Mom had her stroke on a Sunday morning in March. I remember because I was supposed to have brunch with friends from college, the first time I'd said yes to something social in months. Instead, I got a call from Bonnie, who was screaming so loud I could barely understand her. I met them at Queen's General Hospital, where a doctor I'll never forget, Dr. Elena Morrison, young, tired, kind, told us Mom would survive, but the medical bills would be catastrophic. I can still see the waiting room. Green plastic chairs. A vending machine that only accepted exact change. Bonnie sitting with her head in her hands, her whole body shaking, while I called our insurance company and learned that catastrophic meant $43,000 out of pocket. I paid it. Not all at once, but over 18 months, in chunks that made my bank account scream. I moved from my decent studio in Manhattan to a basement apartment in Crown Heights. I sold my car. I stopped buying coffee, started meal prepping, learned exactly how much a person could sacrifice and still technically be alive. Bonnie visited Mom every day for the first 2 weeks. Then every other day. Then weekends. Then whenever she could fit it in. I went every Tuesday and Thursday after work, no matter how exhausted I was. I paid for the physical therapy Mom's insurance wouldn't cover, $180 a week. I bought the groceries, the medications, the special chair for the bathroom. I never kept score. That's what sisters do, right? You show up. You carry the weight together. Except I looked around one day and realized I was carrying it alone. Bonnie moved to Los Angeles 2 years after Mom's stroke. She said she needed to chase her dreams before it was too late. She was 26. I was 23. I helped her pay for the moving truck, $2,400. I helped with her first month's rent and deposit, $3,200. She promised she'd pay me back as soon as she booked something big. That was 3 years ago. She never paid me back. But she did call every time she needed something. When her roommate bailed and she couldn't cover rent, $1,800. When she needed headshots for auditions, $650. When she wrecked her car and needed help with the deductible, $1,200. When she flew back to New York for pilot season and needed somewhere to stay, my couch, for 6 weeks, while she ate my food and complained about the apartment being too small. I gave it all. I said yes every time. Because she was my sister, and because some part of me believed that if I just kept giving, eventually she'd see me. Really see me. Not as a wallet or a safety net, but as a person who had needs too. Dreams too. A life that mattered too. But that text message, that casual, emoji-filled demand for $75,000, finally made me understand something I'd been refusing to see. To Bonnie, I wasn't a person. I was a transaction. I got off the subway at my stop and walked the 4 blocks to my apartment. It was getting dark, that October kind of dark where the air smells like rain and rotting leaves. My neighbor, Mr. Patrick Chin, was outside watering his stoop plants, and he waved at me like he always did. Long day, Lakeisha? The longest, I said, and I meant it in ways he couldn't know. Inside my apartment, I sat on my second-hand couch and stared at my phone. 43 missed calls from various family members over the years. Hundreds of text messages. All of them asking for something. I scrolled back through my message history with Bonnie, reading years of conversations with fresh eyes. Can you spot me for this month? I'm in a bind, can you help? You're so good at this stuff, can you handle it? You don't mind, right? You're literally the best. Not once, not one single time, had she asked how I was doing. If I needed help. If I was okay. I thought about the promotion I'd turned down last year because it would have meant moving to Boston, and Bonnie had begged me not to leave because she needed me close by during her really hard time. She'd been in Los Angeles the entire year. We'd seen each other twice. I thought about the man I'd been dating, James, who'd broken up with me because I'd canceled 3 dates in a row to deal with family emergencies. You're never really here, he'd said. Even when you're here, you're somewhere else. I thought about my mother, who still asked me every week if I'd sent Bonnie money, who told me I was so responsible in a tone that made it clear she meant so useful. Maybe, I thought, sitting there in the dark, it's time to stop being the one who always answers. Wednesday morning, October 18th, I walked into Chase Bank on 42nd Street at exactly 9:15 a.m. I'd barely slept. Bonnie had sent the loan documents at 11 p.m. the night before with another breezy text, just sign where I marked. You're saving my life. Sparkling heart. I hadn't opened them. Instead, I'd spent the night doing something I should have done years ago. I calculated exactly how much money I'd given Bonnie over the last 7 years. With interest, because why shouldn't I calculate interest? It came to $67,430. $67,430. Enough for a down payment on a house. Enough for the grad school degree I'd postponed. Enough for a life I'd put on hold while I played ATM for my family. The bank manager, a woman named Lauren Michaels with kind eyes and a no-nonsense haircut, reviewed my accounts. I'd been sending Bonnie $500 a month for the past year, an allowance she'd convinced me to give her just until she got on her feet. She was still in Los Angeles. Still auditioning. Still broke. I want to stop the automatic transfers, I said. All of them. Lauren looked at me over her glasses. Are you sure? Once we cancel these, the person receiving them will be notified immediately. I'm sure. She clicked her mouse a few times. Done. Is there anything else? Yes. I pulled out a folder I'd prepared. I need to open a new savings account. One that's only in my name. I want to transfer $30,000 from my checking account into it. Of course. May I ask what the account is for? It's for me, I said, and the words felt like freedom. It's just for me. I left the bank at 9:47 a.m. By 10:15, my phone was ringing. Bonnie's name flashed on the screen. I sent it to voicemail. She called again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Then the text started. Why did my deposit bounce? Keisha, call me right now. This isn't funny, I have bills. How could you do this to me? I turned off my phone. I went to work. At lunch, I sat in Madison Square Park with a sandwich I'd packed myself and watched the world move around me, dog walkers, tourists, nannies with strollers, people living lives that had nothing to do with my family's drama. The sun was warm on my face. I felt like a person again. Not a sister. Not a daughter. Not a checkbook. A person. That evening, I sat on my fire escape with a glass of wine, the cheap kind, because old habits die hard, and let myself remember things I'd been too busy to feel. I remembered Bonnie's 26th birthday party in Los Angeles, the one I'd flown out for, the one where she'd introduced me to her friends as my sister who works in finance, like that was my only defining characteristic. I remembered Christmas 3 years ago when she'd given me a $15 candle from Target while I'd paid off her credit card debt, for $200. I remembered the time I'd mentioned I was tired, and she'd said, "You're always tired, Keisha," like my exhaustion was boring instead of the natural result of holding everyone's life together including my own. I remembered the boyfriend, James, who'd looked at me the night he ended things and said, "You take care of everyone except yourself." And I can't love someone who doesn't love themselves enough to set boundaries. I'd thought he was being cruel. Now, I thought he might have been the only one telling me the truth. The sun set over Brooklyn. My phone was still off. For the first time in 7 years, I wasn't waiting for someone to need something. I was just sitting, breathing, being. At 8:30 p.m., my doorbell rang. I considered not answering. But I knew who it was. I'd been expecting this. I opened the door to find my cousin, Milan, standing in the hallway. Milan was Bonnie's age, always perfectly dressed, always on Bonnie's side. We'd been close once, before I became the family bank. "Can I come in?" she asked. I stepped aside. She sat on my couch, declined the offer of tea, and got straight to it. "What the hell, Lakeisha?" "Bonnie's freaking out. She needed that money." "She wanted that money," I corrected. "There's a difference. You can't just cut her off like this. She's your sister." I know exactly who she is. Milan's perfectly made-up face hardened. "You've always been like this. Acting like you're better than everyone because you have a stable job and a 401k. Meanwhile, Bonnie's out there chasing her dreams, taking risks." On my dime, I interrupted. "She's been taking risks on my dime for 7 years, Milan. Do you know how much money I've given her? Do you know how many times I've said yes when I wanted to say no? That's what family does. We help each other." I laughed, and it came out bitter. Help goes both ways. When's the last time Bonnie helped me? When's the last time she asked if I was okay? If I needed something? When's the last time she saw me as anything other than a solution to her problems? Milan stood up. "You know what your problem is, Lakeisha? You always make everything about yourself. Bonnie needed you, and you decided to throw a tantrum instead of being there for her. Get out of my house." She blinked. "What?" "Get out of my house." I walked to the door and opened it. "You can tell Bonnie that I'm done. Done with the loans that never get repaid. Done with the emergencies that only exist because she refuses to plan ahead. Done with being treated like an ATM instead of a human being. I'm done." Milan stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Then she grabbed her purse and stormed out, turning back at the threshold to deliver one final shot. "You're going to regret this. You're going to end up alone, and you'll have no one to blame but yourself." I closed the door in her face. Then I locked it. Then I slid down to sit with my back against it, and I waited for the guilt to come. It didn't. What came instead was something I hadn't felt in years: freedom. Pure, uncomplicated, terrifying freedom. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. If this story is hitting close to home, do me a favor and drop a like on this video. And if you want to hear how Bonnie reacted to what came next, you're going to want to stick around because it gets even crazier. I woke up Thursday morning to 47 missed calls. 17 from Bonnie. 12 from Milan. 8 from my mother. 10 from numbers I didn't recognize. My voicemail was full. I made coffee and listened to them while the sun came up over Brooklyn. The first few from Bonnie were angry. You're being so childish right now. Call me back. Then desperate, Keisha, please. I really need to talk to you. This is serious. Then manipulative, I can't believe you do this to me. After everything we've been through. After Mom. After Dad left. I thought we were a team. Then cruel, you know what? Maybe everyone's right about you. Maybe you are just a cold, selfish bitch who thinks money makes you better than everyone. The messages from Milan were all variations of how dare you. The ones from my mother were worse, disappointed, confused, tinged with the kind of guilt only a parent can weaponize. Lakeisha, baby, I don't understand what's happening. Bonnie called me crying. She says you've abandoned her. Can you please call me and explain? The unknown numbers, I discovered, were Bonnie's friends from Los Angeles. People I'd never met, calling to tell me what a terrible sister I was. One of them, a woman who introduced herself as Tyler, Bonnie's scene partner, said I should be ashamed of myself for sabotaging Bonnie's dreams when she was so close to making it. I deleted all of them. Then I blocked Bonnie's number. Then Milan's. Then the unknown numbers. My mother, I left unblocked. But I didn't call back. I went to work. I sat through meetings. I had lunch with my colleague Scotty, who'd been trying to get me to join the office social scene for months. We went to a Thai place near Bryant Park, and when he asked how I was doing, I almost told him everything. But instead, I just said, I'm figuring some things out. He nodded like he understood. Good for you. I think you're braver than you give yourself credit for. I didn't feel brave. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, waiting to see if I'd fall or fly. By Friday, the messages had evolved. Bonnie had apparently told the family that I'd stolen money from her, a creative reinterpretation of me canceling the automatic transfers she'd grown dependent on. My mother left a voicemail asking me to return Bonnie's money and stop this nonsense before you ruin the family. But the most revealing message came Friday at 2:30 p.m. An email. Subject line, can we please talk like adults? I opened it. Asterisk Keisha, I think there's been a huge misunderstanding. I never meant to make you feel used or unappreciated. You're my sister and I love you. But I'm in a really bad spot right now and I really need your help with the business loan. The investor is pulling out if I can't show I have backing by Monday. This is literally my one shot. I know we need to talk about some stuff, and we will, I promise. But can we please deal with this first? Once this is sorted, we can sit down and work everything out. I'll even fly to New York. I'm sorry for how I asked before. I should have been more respectful of your time and money. Can you just look at the documents? Please? B***. I read it twice. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever gotten from Bonnie. But it wasn't an apology. It was a negotiation. We can talk about your feelings, but first I need your money. I'm sorry I disrespected you, but please give me what I want anyway. The truth was right there in the structure of the email. She didn't want to fix our relationship. She wanted to get what she needed first, and then maybe, possibly, if I was lucky, she'd throw me some scraps of acknowledgement. I closed my laptop. I didn't respond. Saturday morning, my doorbell rang again. This time, I checked the peephole before answering. It was Schofield Jennings, a guy I'd known since college. He and Bonnie had dated briefly freshman year, stayed friends after. He was one of the few people from that era of my life who'd never asked me for money, never made me feel like a resource instead of a person. I opened the door. Schofield. What are you doing here? Can I come in? I brought bagels. He held up a bag from my favorite place on Court Street. I let him in because Schofield had always been good people, and also because I was exhausted and the bagels smelled amazing. We sat at my kitchen table, the same one I'd bought from a stoop sale 6 years ago. He handed me a coffee, light, 2 sugars, the way I'd liked it in college, and didn't say anything while I took the first sip. Finally, Bonnie called me. Of course she did. She's not doing great. She wanted me to talk to you. Convince you to help her. I set down my coffee. And are you here to convince me? Schofield looked at me for a long moment. No. I'm here to make sure you're okay. And to tell you that whatever you decided, it's probably the right call. Something in my chest cracked open. How do you know? Because I've known you for 8 years, Lakeisha. I've watched you set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. I've watched you cancel plans, turn down opportunities, run yourself ragged trying to be everything for everyone. And I've watched Bonnie take and take and take without ever once asking what it cost you. He paused. She told me you betrayed her. That you abandoned her in her time of need. Want to know what she didn't tell me? What? That she'd asked you to co-sign a $75,000 loan via text message with a LOL and a heart emoji. I stared at him. She told you about the loan? She told me you were being difficult about helping her with something important. I asked what? She finally admitted it was a business loan, and that she just assumed you'd say yes because that's what you always do. Schofield shook his head. That's when I knew you'd made the right choice. Everyone thinks I'm the bad guy. Everyone who's enabling her thinks you're the bad guy. Everyone who's been using you thinks you're the bad guy. The people who actually care about you? We're just glad you finally started caring about yourself. We sat in silence for a while, eating bagels, drinking coffee. It was the most peaceful I'd felt in days. Eventually, Schofield asked, "Is there anything that could change your mind? About helping her?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. If she apologized. A real apology. Not "I'm sorry but I need this first." Just acknowledgement that she's been treating me like an ATM instead of a sister. Accountability for the years of taking advantage. A genuine commitment to change, not just words designed to get what she wants. Has she done any of that? No. Then you have your answer. He stood to leave, squeezed my shoulder. Words are easy when people are desperate. Watch what they do, not what they say. After he left, I sat at my kitchen table and thought about that. Words are easy when people are desperate. Bonnie's email had been full of words. But actions? When had she ever backed up her promises with action? She'd promised to pay me back, never did. She'd promised to be more independent, still called for money monthly. She'd promised to visit Mom more, I was still the only one showing up. She'd promised we'd work everything out once I gave her what she wanted, that was the oldest trick in the book. I looked around my small apartment. The second-hand furniture. The kitchen table from a stoop sale. The life I'd built on the leftovers of what I gave away. And I made a decision. No more. Sunday evening, there was a soft knock on my door. I opened it to find Elena, my mother's physical therapist, the same Dr. Elena Morrison who'd been there the day of Mom's stroke, though she'd switched to private practice since then. She'd become something like a friend over the years, one of the few people who saw how much I carried. "I hope it's okay that I'm here," she said. "Your mother gave me your address. She's worried about you." I let her in, made tea, and we sat on my couch. Bonnie came to see your mother yesterday, Elena said carefully. She was very upset. She told your mom that you'd cut her off financially and that she might lose an important business opportunity because of it. That's one way to tell the story. Your mother asked me what I thought. If I thought you were being unreasonable. Elena sipped her tea. I told her I thought you were being healthy. I looked at her, surprised. Lakeisha, I've worked with your family for 3 years. I've seen who shows up and who doesn't. I've seen who pays the bills and who benefits from them being paid. I've seen you come straight from work, exhausted, to sit with your mother while Bonnie video calls from Los Angeles for 15 minutes and calls it quality time. Elena set down her cup. So when your mother asked me if I thought you were wrong to set boundaries with your sister, I told her no. I told her I thought you'd been carrying too much for too long, and that it was okay to put some of it down. What did she say? She didn't like it. But she's thinking about it. Elena paused. She asked me to ask you if there's anything that could change your mind. About helping Bonnie. I took a breath. Is this you asking, or her? Both. No, I said. There's nothing. Because this isn't about the money. It's about the fact that my sister saw me as an ATM machine and didn't even have the respect to pretend otherwise. It's about 7 years of giving everything I had and never once being asked what I needed. It's about being loved conditionally, loved as long as I'm useful, discarded the moment I'm not. Elena nodded slowly. That's fair. Is it though? Because everyone's acting like I'm the villain. Like I'm selfish for wanting to keep my own money. Like I'm cruel for not bankrupting myself to fund my sister's dreams. Love and sacrifice aren't the same thing, Elena said quietly. Your mother learned that the hard way, staying with your father for as long as she did. She sacrificed her happiness, her safety, her peace, all in the name of love. And it almost destroyed her. When I told her that, she got very quiet. I think maybe she sees some of herself in you. Did she send you here to convince me to change my mind? No. She sent me here to make sure you're okay. And to tell you that she loves you. Elena stood to leave. Even if she doesn't understand your choice yet, she loves you. Give her time. After she left, I sat in the growing dark of my apartment and let myself cry. Not because I regretted my decision. But because it hurt, realizing that love could be so conditional. That the people you die for might not even notice you were bleeding. But I also felt something else, relief. The kind that comes from finally telling the truth, even when the truth is ugly and hard and makes everyone uncomfortable. I didn't feel guilty anymore. I felt free. And freedom, I was learning, sometimes looks like a closed door and an empty savings account that finally belongs only to you. Bonnie's business opportunity, whatever it was, fell through. I heard about it from Milan's Instagram story, a vague post about fake people and learning who's really in your corner. Apparently, without my co-signature, Bonnie couldn't secure the loan. Without the loan, her investor backed out. Without the investor, her one big shot evaporated. She didn't cancel her dreams entirely, Bonnie's too stubborn for that. From what I gathered through the family grapevine, Mom, mostly, in our careful weekly phone calls, she'd scaled back. Found a smaller investor. Started something more modest. She was still in Los Angeles. Still auditioning. Still trying. Just not on my dime. The part that surprised me? She didn't invite me to any of it. When she finally did launch her small production company 3 months later, I saw the announcement on Facebook. There was a whole post thanking everyone who'd believed in her and stood by her side. Milan was tagged. Her investor, a guy named Lincoln something. Her scene partner Tyler. Her acting coach. Her barista, for Christ's sake. I wasn't mentioned. Not even in passing. And you know what? I was okay with that. Better than okay. Because her silence told me everything I needed to know. I wasn't family to her. I was a bank that had closed, and she'd simply found another one. 6 weeks after I'd cut her off, I got one final email. Subject line, I think we both said things we didn't mean. I read it once, sitting at my desk during my lunch break. Asterisk Keisha, I've had time to think, and I realize we both overreacted. I shouldn't have assumed you'd help without asking properly, and you shouldn't have cut me off so completely without talking to me first. I think if we're both honest, we can admit we both made mistakes. I'm willing to move past this if you are. I'm not asking for money, I found other backing. I'm just asking for my sister back. But I need to know you can support me emotionally, even if you can't financially right now. Can we start over? B***. I read it 3 times, looking for the apology that wasn't there. The accountability that didn't exist. The acknowledgement of 7 years of taking advantage. We both made mistakes. We both said things. I'm willing to move past this. It was a masterclass in deflection. She was sorry I was upset. Sorry things had gotten messy. Sorry we'd overreacted. But she wasn't sorry for what she'd done. For how she treated me. For the years of using me up and never once filling me back up. And the kicker, I need to know you can support me emotionally, even if you can't financially right now. Translation, I found another source of money, but I still need you to be my therapist, my cheerleader, my emotional dumping ground. I need you to celebrate my wins and comfort me through my losses and ask for nothing in return. I archived the email. I didn't delete it. I wanted to be able to look back someday and remember this moment of clarity. But I didn't respond. Some people think silence is cruel. I think silence is the most honest answer I could give. Because any words I sent would have been a lie, and I was done lying to make other people comfortable. The weeks turned into months. I stopped expecting Bonnie to change. I stopped waiting for the apology that would make everything make sense. I stopped hoping that one day she'd wake up and realize what she'd lost. Instead, I started building something new. I signed up for a night class, financial law at NYU, the first step toward the grad degree I'd postponed 7 years ago. I said yes when Scotty invited me to happy hour with the office crew, and I discovered I actually liked these people when I wasn't too exhausted to appreciate them. I went on a date with a guy from my building, Benjamin, who sold real estate and made me laugh and didn't make me feel like I had to earn his attention. I visited my mother every Tuesday, like always. But now when she asked about Bonnie, I just said, "I'm sure she's doing fine," and changed the subject. At first, Mom pushed. Tried to mediate. Tried to make me understand that family forgives. But after a while, she stopped. I think Elena had gotten through to her. Or maybe she was just tired of being in the middle. One Tuesday in late January, sitting in Mom's kitchen while she sorted her medications, she said quietly, "I was wrong." I looked up. About what? About expecting you to keep giving. About acting like it was your job to take care of Bonnie. About making you feel guilty for having boundaries. She didn't look at me, just kept sorting pills into their little compartments. Your father used to do that to me. Make me feel selfish for wanting things. For needing things. For not sacrificing every part of myself for him and you girls. I swore I'd never do that to you. But I did. I'm sorry. I set down my water glass. Mom. Let me finish. She finally looked at me, and her eyes were wet. You're a good daughter, Lakeisha. A good sister. But Bonnie's got to learn to stand on her own. And I've got to learn to let her. And you've got to learn that it's okay to live your own life. You hear me? I nodded, not trusting my voice. I'm proud of you, she said. For saying no. For choosing yourself. I should have said that months ago. We didn't talk about Bonnie after that. But something between us healed that day, sitting in her sunny kitchen with the pills and the weak coffee and the comfortable silence of two people who'd finally learned to see each other as human beings instead of roles. There's a strange peace that comes with letting go. With accepting that some people will never understand you, never value you, never love you the way you deserve. With realizing that you can't sacrifice yourself into being loved, that you can't give enough to make someone see your worth. I established a new rule for my life. I only say yes to things I actually want to say yes to. Not things I feel obligated to do. Not things I'm guilt into. Not things that drain me dry and leave me empty. I say yes to the grad school classes that challenge me. I say yes to the dates with Benjamin that make me feel seen. I say yes to the friendships that fill me up instead of emptying me out. I say yes to the quiet Saturday mornings in my apartment with a book and coffee and absolutely nothing expected of me. I say no to everything else. My savings account, the one I opened that day at Chase Bank, now has $47,000 in it. $47,000 that belongs only to me. Money I didn't give away. Didn't loan out. Didn't sacrifice on the altar of other people's emergencies. I look at that number sometimes, on my banking app, and I feel something I haven't felt in years, possibility. That money represents choices. Freedom. A future that's mine to build however I want. Do I miss Bonnie? Sometimes. I miss the sister I thought I had. The one I'd built up in my mind, the one who'd be there for me the way I was there for her. But that sister never existed. She was a dream I'd been funding with my own exhaustion. The real Bonnie? The one who sees people as resources and love as transactional? I don't miss her at all. Here's what I wish someone had told me 7 years ago: sacrifice is only meaningful if it's mutual. If you're the only one giving, you're not in a relationship, you're a resource being exploited. And the people who truly love you? They don't want you to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. They'd rather sit with you in the cold and figure out how to build a fire together. I wish I'd known that boundaries aren't cruel, they're necessary. That saying no doesn't make you selfish, it makes you sane. That you can love someone and still refuse to let them destroy you. That sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away and let people learn to stand on their own. I wish I'd known that I mattered. Not because of what I could give or provide or sacrifice. Just because I existed. Just because I was human and flawed and tired and deserving of rest. I know that now. And it only cost me $67,430, 7 years, and a sister who never really knew me anyway. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt used by the people who should love you most, if you've ever wondered if it's okay to choose yourself, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below telling me your story. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video. And share this with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to say no. That it's okay to stop carrying weight that was never yours to carry, ***. Because here's the truth they don't tell you: the people who get angry when you set boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. Remember that. And remember that you deserve better, ***. I'm Lakeisha, and I'm finally learning to put myself first. Thanks for being here with me while I figure it out, ***. See you in the next one.